Only a few years ago I was lucky enough to find the deal of a lifetime as a LEGO Star Wars fan. Welcome to a retro LEGO Star Wars review of the 2003 sets that made up Jabba's Palace. This build consists of 3 LEGO sets released in 2003, 4475 Jabba's Message, 4476 Jabba's Prize, and 4480 Jabba's Palace. We do skip a few numbers there. The sets can be joined together. Obviously you would want them all since the desirable and more important characters are spread throughout all 3 sets. I thought it would be best to review them all together instead of one by one, so here we go. If you enjoy this retrospective review, liking and subscribing helps to support the channel. Happy May the 4th. The first set, going by the numbers, is Jabba's Message, which I'm told was about 6 or 7 USD at the time, maybe. I'm not sure what NZ had charged, but today apparently it's closer to 100 USD or so. I've never owned a LEGO set this small before, let alone for a theme that I love so much, so this is a pretty surreal feeling. The box showcases Bib Fortuna and 3PO and R2 as your minifigures for the set. Imagine paying less than $10 for 3 minifigures today. And the back of the box has this really neat design actually of the set and some images of the movies for the characters, as well as the advertising for other sets. It's all laid out with different borders too. I really like this. And here it is, in all of its mini-scaled glory. We have the figures all standing on the set here, which is that of a door build, the entranceway to Jabba's palace. Removing the figures here, I can show you the play feature, which is that the door can move up, and that's about it. The door stops moving all the way though because of the robot eye part that is stuck in between the build. At least that means that the door won't be getting lost. The robot eye here is a printed piece which can be moved around a little actually, so I guess 2 play features there, my bad. It's a pretty decent way of recreating that scene from Jedi. Bib Fortuna is obviously the most interesting minifigure here. Very minimal printing on his torso that reminds me of the future Prince of Persia sets. He also has that old style rough cape, but his most notable feature of course is that special headpiece, which is a special mold that has since been updated, mind you. Interestingly, the head is exposed on both the front and the back, and as gross as it looks, I really do like this special molding. Kinda looks like something from Cronenberg's mind. C-3PO has also always looked ugly to me, very creamy in his colouring. His head mold has always remained the same, but the modern day version has better colours, so it's a good headpiece all in all. Are the prints acceptable for the time? Maybe. It looks smeared. It looks like it's a million little dots that just look disgusting. I've never liked this, even for at the time, for a character that I do genuinely like. R2-D2 actually does look acceptable for the time, even with printing errors. Those printing errors are just part of the 2000s charm. Regardless, the prints look nice. If they had been lined up better, obviously that would have been preferred. R2 has never changed his molds since his conception, so another round of applause to LEGO on that. They literally nailed the design right out the gate. Instructions for the set are a great reminder of where we all came from. Themed instructions is a thing of the past, unfortunately. The back of the instructions though show off Jabba's palace, all built up with those odd mini sets being advertised as well. And here's a little pic of Yoda surfing the web. So the next set is Jabba's Prize, which has the same information as Jabba's Message, $7 back in the day, today around 100 or so. The box shows us that Boba Fett and the Gamorrean guards are the figures. There's also a brick of Han. You get to decide if that value equates to a figure inclusion or not. Same box shots as before. It advertises images of this specific scene from Jabba's palace. There's also the advertisement here at the bottom of the sets, and the addition of the Imperial ships here as well. Another small little addition, but one that I do also like. The build is much simpler than that of a door with a moving mechanic. This one features one tiny play feature of a brick that can move back and forth. It's a structure that houses Han, and that's the brick that moves. You can see that atop here is a hinge piece that also holds the brick in place. Moving this means that Han can be moved. It's not an exciting feature, but the display looks better than that of a door. You be the judge. Boba Fett in this appearance is one of my favourite LEGO minifigures of all time. I never had one until today, so I grew up viewing this design as the illustrious piece that I would never own. That jetpack and helmet being the same mold is really cool. I still love this so much. I love the colours and the molds there. Those minimal prints are very nostalgic, and that classic blaster has always reminded me of the LEGO games. That's why I added a little stud at the end here. I really love this minifigure. The Gamorrean guard is very scary actually, likely due to that being no paint. This is honestly pretty solid for 2003 actually. He's nice and fat, which goes a long way for his shaping and sculpting. Sometimes LEGO don't translate fat characters very well into minifigure form even by today's standards. The same special design as Chewbacca, it's a whole piece that goes over his torso. Since his torso is covered, no need to add details on there, I suppose. There are no prints whatsoever on this figure, but he does have this axe piece that I'm not really familiar with. This kind of looks like it's from that Scala line from Yonder. Here is Han, here's a brick. The design is nice. I think he is very funny, but I'm not sure if that was the intention or not. I think it is total bullshit to count this as a figure, but again, I get a kick out of it anyway, so it's up to you. The instructions here receive the same praise from me as the last one. I miss these themed instructions a lot. The advertisements are, you guessed it, Jabba's palace, but there's also the Skyhoppers here. The minis are featured again, and Yoda is still cruising the web. And so now we come to your main course. This is Jabba's palace as it originally released in 2003. Originally priced at $30 back in the day, so I think it would still be under $50 today, if that is how LEGO prices worked. It's not though. You would have to head to eBay if you want this today, and to get one still sealed in good condition is going to cost you around apparently $300. It's pretty damn good though, isn't it? Jabba as a whole piece, Luke and Leia here as well, some extra peeps to flesh out the scene a little at Jabba's palace, awesome stuff. The biggest box yet as well. The box does show off the characters in the same spaces, some shots of the set all built up as well, looks good. On the back here we have some features, some figures, scenes from the movie, advertisements for the other sets, and whatever the hell this thing here is. It is an alt build of an air traffic controller and a biplane. Instructions are not given, so good luck. I will start at the bottom section here, which is basically a dungeon area maybe? Building this, it's quite fragile until you reach this end part where these sections all come together. Yeah, see, the doors are barely holding on. Eventually, once all is built, you place this piece up top which holds these sections all together. Removing them makes for a grander display in my opinion though, so maybe I'd prefer to have it like this. The section now opens up to somewhat reveal a little of a downstairs area. There's a computer monitor of sorts here, maybe it's supposed to be for the gate. The walls are placed on hinges so that now the stairs can be placed at the back here. It's quite a snug fit, which does lead me to think that this is an intentional design. The structure is quite bare, at least to say by today's standards. These walls are just here to simply hold up the display of the throne. There's nothing to really interact with here. Jabba's throne is exactly what I expected from the build methods throughout the previous sets. It is a flat base and a chair. His throne features very minimal details that are in that nostalgic style as 99 Star Wars and Harry Potter sets. Just a straight build up for a turret. And what's funny is that the use of that dome piece actually does a good job representing the scene, unlike the most recent one which missed it. Jabba even has a drink on his left with a frog inside of a little bowl, but I don't think his survival rate is going to be very high. You can see that there are rubber bands here on the side, so of course this must lead to a play feature. The rubber bands are 20 years old now, so they are feeling very tired. I've made sure to be quite careful when placing these. If we put Luke on the only flat tile that is around and we move Jabba's throne backwards, it reveals a trapdoor which leads Luke to, I presume, the Rancor pit, so I guess the underneath section is that of the Rancor's home. The trapdoor is held in place by this Technic peg that's default stance is to be in the way. So it's a good working feature, it even goes off on its own sometimes if the set is in transit. The first figure up here is Luke. First time that I get to mention the outdated yellow skin tone. LEGO began using the flesh skin tone that we know today in the Spider-Man, Harry Potter and Star Wars sets from around 2004, just a year after this. Before that though, Spidey, Harry, Luke and his friends all represented that yellow skin tone. This is the most defining nostalgic feature of older LEGO license sets for me. Besides that, I actually think he holds up pretty well. I think he's the Bob standard Luke that we were all used to for years, maybe even close to a decade, given that he's barely any different from the Lukes of 1999 and 2000. He includes a hair and a hood piece, which I think is surely a rarity of its time, and he has that outdated chrome lightsaber piece that would chip all the time. Here is Princess Leia. This figure is weird. She has these outlines on her waist that make her look skinnier to other figures. Jesus Christ. The leg printing I think still holds up really well today, and I like the colours that are used throughout. It's funny what complaints have gone to LEGO's way in the past couple of years in regards to appropriate content, but no one seems to bat an eye at this minifigure. She has that neck brace piece because it can be used to chain her down next to Jabba in the set. Play feature. This is the EV9D9 droid, who is a really cool and odd little figure. He uses the battle droid pieces in a different color, but his head is a minifigure head that is turned upside down. Apparently he's never been remade either, so this is it. This is it right here. He's the one. This is the GNK Droid, the classic design that uses that letterbox piece. I'm genuinely thrilled about owning this guy. I've never owned a GNK Droid until the recent sets of Modern Era with the brick-built versions. This fella right here is the genuine nostalgic build. I'm so happy, I'm so thrilled. His grey colours may be ugly and his prints are as bad as C-3PO's, but damn if that's not the best design of the figure that I've ever seen. Bomar Monk, or better known as that weird spider droid until Lucas ended up making a canon spider droid some years later, is a nice amount of pieces thrown together that makes a pretty unique design. It uses some swords, a fishbowl, and a stud to represent the brain, maybe, or something. It's creepy, it's neat, I like its inclusion. And this is Jabba. My oh my, he is weird and such a unique mold, and they did manage to reuse it a few times as well before remaking him and updating him. There's no printing on him whatsoever, so just some nice sculpted details. He uses the dinosaur pieces for his tail, and he has those anti-studs on the bottom so he can attach to this set. He uses elongated special arms, which reminds me of the Hagrid figures from way back, but I believe these arms are longer so they shouldn't be the same pieces. And he has some creepy looking fingers as well. Obviously the later one is a much better design, but this is crazy detail for an older LEGO set. They really went from no special molds to suddenly introducing Yoda and Dobby, and then to this in the blink of an eye. Now it is time to combine. You've probably seen that throughout the sets they include these connection bricks which can easily connect onto the side of the set. That's about it. They just connect on the sides here. Sitting out, arms spread and all. Try to move the set, they'll fall down. It's cool, but I actually don't like how skinny the set becomes in this little section here. It feels ridiculous to say this, I know, but bear with me. It makes the outdated design of the set very outdated for me. So I simply disconnect them and I have them sitting on the sides actually close up instead. Presumably I'm not going to be moving the set around, so it's fine to sit like this. And yes, a personal pet peeve of mine are LEGO sets that are supposed to connect together but don't actually connect together. They rather just sit next to each other. I really hate that type of a build feature, but an outdated design like this can get a hall pass for this solution. The instructions are larger than those tiny books from before, and they are still themed, so that's good. Look at how weird these renders look. The advertisements here, though, are sick, man! This is an Attack of the Clones ad of the gunships and the AT-AT walkers. I wish I had these sets. I really do. You also have a giant ad for buying more sets to combine onto this one, and again, Yoda, he's on the web. That is my review of the old LEGO Star Wars 2003 Jabba's Palace and connections. It is a thing of the past both in style and its build process. The figures are all outdated in skin tones and in details. Jabba lacks any sorts of definitions besides some good sculpts, and the build is a fragile one that needs some personal modifying in order to look better for me personally on a display. And yet, I absolutely love this set, warts and all. It makes for a great time capsule piece and a complete set, and how can I not celebrate the fact that I got all of this, the instructions, the box, all the pieces, it's all in great condition for just $200. Let me tell you something, American viewers, it is not often that a Kiwi can find a better deal in LEGO outside of the US markets. If you enjoyed this, then please liking and subscribing helps to support the channel. Stick around for some more retro Star Wars reviews. Thank you very much, take care.